What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Tony Crypto and Stock News, the channel that brings you data, strategy, and freedom. Today, I'm covering a stock that IPO'd yesterday, and I guarantee you, most of you have never heard of it. The ticker is HAWK, that's HawkEye 360, listed on the NYSE today at $26 a share, and it already popped 30% to close around $34. Market cap now north of $3 billion. And here's the wild part. This is not a pre-revenue story. This is not another SPASC. This company has real government contracts, real revenue, and it just unlocked access to classified Pentagon programs. Stick with me, this one is different. So what exactly does HawkEye 360 do? Think of it this way. Most satellite companies take pictures. HawkEye 360 listens. They have over 30 satellites in low Earth orbit, and these satellites are tuned to detect radio frequency signals. We're talking radars, ship transponders, GPS jammers, military communications, rogue vessels trying to go dark. Any device that emits a radio signal can be detected, geolocated, and tracked anywhere on Earth. This is called SIGINT, Signals Intelligence. And historically, this has been the exclusive domain of nation-state intelligence agencies. The NSA, GCHQ, the spy stuff. HawkEye 360 is the first commercial company to do this at scale and sell it, primarily to the U.S. Department of Defense and allied governments. And here's the real-world proof that this works. Before Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, HawkEye's satellites detected massive GPS jamming activity north of Chernobyl, inside the exclusion zone. They called Russia's electronic warfare movements before the invasion started. That's not marketing. That's operational capability. Now, let's talk numbers. And I want to be clear. I went directly to the SEC filing for everything I'm about to tell you. This is fact-checked. Revenue in 2025, $117.7 million. That's up 74% from $67.6 million in 2024. And if you go back to 2022, they did $30.5 million. So this business has nearly quadrupled in 3 years. Gross margin is approximately 80%. That's software-level margins on a hardware company. The reason? Once the satellites are in orbit, the cost of collecting one more customer's data is basically zero. That's the magic of the business model. Funded backlog, this is the big one. $302.7 million as of December 31st, 2025. That's 2.6 times their annual revenue in locked, multi-year government contracts. These are not spot sales. These are programmatic contracts with the DoD. Adjusted EBITDA came in at $24.8 million, 21% margin. And net income, on a GAAP basis, was technically positive for the first time in company history. I want to be honest with you, it was $48,000, barely anything. But a swing from a $31 million loss the year before is meaningful progress. Now here's the thing that almost nobody is covering. The piece that could make Hawk a completely different company in 2 to 3 years. In December 2025, just 5 months ago, HawkEye acquired a company called Innovative Signal Analysis, ISA, Dallas, Texas, founded 1997. Nearly 30 years serving the U.S. government, ISA specializes in classified electronic intelligence processing. They have contracts with the Department of the Air Force and 170 employees, the vast majority holding secret clearances. Here's why this matters. Before the ISA acquisition, HawkEye could only sell in the unclassified space. They had great data, but they couldn't get into the classified programs, the ones with the biggest budgets, the longest contract terms, and the most strategic value. After ISA, they now have access to classified national security architecture. They're woven into the intelligence community in a way they simply couldn't be before. That's the unlock. That's the hidden catalyst that most people covering this IPO have completely missed. So who are the customers? The U.S. government accounts for 61% of revenue, primarily the DoD and intelligence agencies. Japan is 16%. And other allied international governments make up the remaining 23%. These aren't one-time customers, these are long-term relationships with defense establishments. Once you're integrated into their intelligence workflow, they don't swap you out. Now let's talk about who was in this before the IPO. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, held a 6.1% stake going into the IPO. That dropped to 5.1% after dilution. But the point is, the biggest institutional money manager on the planet was already in this deal. That's a credibility signal. And the CEO, John Serafini, is not a tech bro who stumbled into defense. He's a West Point graduate, an Army Ranger, Harvard Business School, Harvard Kennedy School of Government. He's personally founded and scaled 10 defense tech startups. This is his wheelhouse. So what could send Hawk higher? I've got 5 catalysts. Number 1, classified program access. The ISA integration opens doors to Pentagon programs that HawkEye simply couldn't bid on before. We're talking about the most lucrative, most durable government contracts that exist. Number 2, global defense spending is surging. Every NATO ally is increasing their defense budget right now. Electronic warfare and signals intelligence are not optional in modern conflict. They're the first thing every military wants more of. Number 3, the TAM, the total addressable market, is $24 billion today and projected to hit $34 billion by 2030. HawkEye has $118 million in revenue right now. They're at less than 1% of their market. The runway is enormous. Number 4, allied nation expansion. Japan is already 16% of revenue. Think about South Korea, Australia, the UK, Israel. All of them are racing to build out their own intelligence capabilities, and buying commercial data from HawkEye is faster and cheaper than building satellites themselves. Number 5, their Block 3 satellites cut capital intensity by up to 75% compared to earlier generations. That means as the constellation grows, margins expand, without proportional spending. That's a flywheel, but I'm not going to sell you on just the bulls. Let me give you the real risks. First, barely profitable. $48,000 in GAAP net income on $117.7 million in revenue. One bad quarter, and they're back in the red. This is not a mature cash-generating business yet. Second, customer concentration. 61% of revenue from the U.S. government is both a strength and a risk. One budget sequestration, one contract reassignment, and you've got a serious problem. Third, cash flow was actually negative in 2025 because the government owes them receivables they haven't collected yet. That's normal for defense contractors, but it's worth watching. Fourth, they have $48.6 million in debt taken on to fund the ISA acquisition. Some of the IPO proceeds go toward paying that down. Fifth, the lockup period. Insiders are locked up for 180 days post-IPO. That expiry hits around November 2026. Watch for selling pressure at that point. And sixth, they're competing against Northrop, Raytheon, L3Harris. These are multi-hundred billion-dollar companies with classified infrastructure already in place. HawkEye is the scrappy challenger, not the incumbent. So, watch list or buy? Here's my take. Hawk is a rare thing. A defense tech IPO that's actually profitable, has sticky government contracts, and a technology moat that would take competitors a decade to replicate. The ISA acquisition is the sleeper catalyst. Classified access is the unlock that could take this from a $3 billion company to a $10 billion company over the next 3 to 5 years, if execution holds. But let's be real. The easy money was made today. It already popped 30%. And with only $48,000 in GAAP profit, this is a story stock as much as a fundamental stock. You're betting on execution, on the ISA integration going smoothly, and on defense spending staying elevated. For me, this goes on the watch list immediately. I want to see their first earnings report as a public company. I want to see classified contract announcements. And I'll be watching the lockup expiry in November as a potential entry point if the stock pulls back. As always, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. But Hawk is exactly the kind of story this channel exists to bring you, before the mainstream media catches on. If you want to start investing in crypto or stocks, I've got links in the description. Kraken is my go-to exchange. Use my referral link and get started today. Link is down below. If this video brought you value, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and drop a comment. What other sleeper stocks should I be covering? I read every single one. I'm Tony. See you in the next one.